What's up, everybody? My name is Bizonic. I know when you see the title "Go Back to Africa," that title is strong. It's a strong message. But don't be alarmed. I'm actually just here to say some good things. I seen a video recently with the African Union ambassador, and she came up with a plan, but it wasn't even a fully developed plan. It wasn't developed at all. It was just like kind of like an idea she threw out there, but she was encouraging Black Americans to go back to Africa without a solid plan. And personally, I didn't like that. Again, my name is, I'm a conscious hip hop artist, but I also do international music, world music, Afrobeat, all of that. So again, with her plan, I didn't really like the fact that it wasn't well developed before she tried to put it out, and that really had a lot of people feeling some kind of way. So my thing is, if you are going to be planning to consider the idea of moving back to Africa, uh, I would say first thing you need to do is do some research on where you want to live. Personally, and I said this before in some videos I did a while back, if you want to move to any African country, you want to make sure that country is an English speaking country, unless you know how to speak French or Spanish. If you know how to speak French or Spanish, then you can move about and live in basically any country uh, throughout Africa. Even in North African countries, most of them speak French. So, because you already know how to speak English from living here in the U.S. So, if you want to move about anywhere in Africa, um, French, Spanish, they speak Portuguese in a few countries as well. So, um, English, those are mainly, and then Arabic. But then on the eastern part of Swahili, but a lot of people there speak English. So first thing you want to do is do some research and do some research on potential 5 countries that you could visit. You're gonna have to save up some money in order to be able to visit those countries, and you don't have to do everything at one time. So my advice to you would be first do some research, narrow your research down to about 5 countries that you could potentially live in. Next thing you have to look at is countries that have encouraged Black Americans. So one country that I know that have encouraged Black Americans to move to is Ghana. Ghana has a program. Either they have a program or they just have like Black Americans who came together and started their own little association, African American association there. You could reach out to their association and find out how to go about things. Is the country good for business? Is the country reasonable or cheap to live in? You know, are the people friendly and things of that nature? You could actually contact a Black American person that lives in Ghana and find out that information. So do your research. Number one, have 5 countries on your list. You could narrow it down to about 3 countries if you really don't have money like that. But if you saved up like good 10, 15,000, you could visit all 5 countries. But it will be good for you to go and visit these countries. So after you've done your research, let's say you have Kenya, you have Ghana, you have Nigeria, you have South Africa, and maybe Zimbabwe. So you could go to those countries, and every country I just listed are all English speaking countries. So you're going to be able to get around, even though they speak English, it's a little different with the accents depending on where you go, but you will be able to get around and ask people questions, and they'll be able to tell you or answer to you, and you'll be able to understand what they're talking about. So focus on those English speaking countries. When you travel there, look at everything from, is it hard to establish business here? What's the foreign rate of exchange as far as the money situation? Because you don't want to go somewhere that the little money that you saved up is going to drain out within a very short time. You want to go to a place where if you saved up $20,000, you could literally open a business, and that 20,000 is gonna grow. You know, if you saved up 20,000 both for living and for your cost of living there, and possibly a business or just to live on, you want that money to stretch as long as possible. You know, so you have to look at things like that. If you go to expensive countries like South Africa, they're almost like here in Europe. So you're gonna be spending a lot of money in a short period of time. And do you really want to live there? Do you want to live in a country where your money is gonna stretch out for a longer period, or do you? If you have money like that, then there's no problem, you know. So you want to look at things like that. Um, Talking about the African Union ambassador, she gave a speech recently. I think it was in Washington D.C., but she talked about some things. She talked about um, possibly establishing a credit union to present to African leaders to spark an interest so that they could focus more on uh, black people in the diaspora to return home. And when I say that, I'm not only talking about USA, I'm talking about Jamaica and the Caribbean and even Europe to return home. So, you know, that's a good idea and all, but again, unless you have a solid plan, don't even bring things like that up, because now a lot of people are feeling like they're just going to be jerked for money, and they're just going to take their money and nothing's going to happen. This thing has to be individualized, because each family is different. Everybody doesn't want to move back to Liberia. I mean, I personally, I'm a Liberian. Everybody doesn't want to move back to Africa, man. But I'm a Liberian. I would love to move back to my country when the time is right. And the reason I say that is I don't want to move back to Liberia when I don't have the funds, when I don't have a house built there or houses built. I don't want to move back to Liberia and struggle. I want to move back to Liberia on my own terms, where I feel like uh, whatever properties or things that I have on the ground is basically taking care of me, to the point where it's not only taking care of my immediate expenses, but it's giving me surplus to the point where I'm actually making a profit off of it. That's when I would prefer to move back to Liberia. I don't want to move back to Liberia in a struggling situation. I could move back to Liberia or Africa, um, any part of Africa really, if I had like an international job opportunity that was paying me three, four times more than what I'm making here. That's definite. My family may not be willing to move, but I'll move and do the work and support them and come back and visit, and they could come visit me until they decide to move there. So in a situation like that, I will move back. But other than that, I'm not gonna pick up and move. Now, there are people who may want to open all kinds of businesses. I mean, everybody has a different talent, everybody has different dreams. Some people are more in the entertainment, they want to open nightclubs. You could open a nightclub literally in Liberia for $5,000, $10,000, or probably even less. You know, it just depends on where you want to open it. Because I invested in a DJ set that ain't. I mean, it cost me around like 2 grand plus, but I could have gotten something even better. You know, my camera is not good to show things, but I'll get another camera where I could show things around my studio. So I invested in a DJ set, and basically for opening a nightclub in a place like Liberia, you're gonna need a DJ set. You're gonna need employees. You're gonna need to stock up on some drinks so you could have enough drinks at your bar. You're gonna need the place set up right, indoor and outdoor. You know, it has to be set up where you have exit doors if you got a fire or something, so people could be able to get out alive. I mean, it's a lot of things that goes into play when it comes to things of that nature. But again, you could set up a business like that in Liberia especially if you decided to go set it up in the interior parts of the country, not the capital city. You could set it up for much less than what you would set it up for in the capital city, and way less than what you would set it up for like in a place like Nigeria in the capital city. So, it just all depends. But you know, Africa is good for business. It's extremely great for business purposes. A lot of people who have the funds, if you got the money, anything you like. Akon he did a video. Actually, did an interview with Drink Champs, Nori, and the other guy. I don't know his name, but and he was just encouraging Black Americans to go back and visit. You have to go back and visit. You got to first identify where you want to, and then another thing I forgot to mention on the list of going back to do your research to move, you want to make sure the country that you go in is a stable country as far as war. So you don't want to end up in a war-torn country just because you didn't do research, you know, or a country that a country that has civil conflicts every now and then. You want to make sure this country has been peaceful for at least 7 to 10 years, like no civil conflicts whatsoever. Because if you go in a country where every now and then there's a start of a war, let's say you go in there to establish business, guess what? Your entire business might be wiped out, and you might lose your life too in the process, just because you're in an area that's. I mean, you might not lose your life because normally when those things happen, it don't necessarily just pick up from the capital city. They might start on like the countryside first, so it'll kind of give you ample time to get out of there. But still, if you have a huge business interest there, or you have businesses on the ground, then you could lose a lot of those. So you have to still look into things like insurance and things of that nature. I mean, it's so much business that could be done. And I really just want to see Black people take advantage of Africa because, again, like a lot of YouTubers who are traveling in and out of the continent are always saying Africa is great for business, and the Europeans are taking advantage. I mean, white Americans are taking advantage. So why not Black Americans, or why not Black people from around the world? That place is really for you. That continent is for Black people. So Black people need to take full advantage of Africa and the resources that come along with it. So I encourage all my Black brothers and sisters, take a visit first. Don't even worry about moving there. Just take a visit. Find a country that you could go visit, or a few countries, and go and visit. Visit first, see how you like it, kind of mingle with the people, and we're all like most African countries, the people are very friendly. I mean, it's very hard to find countries that people are not friendly. Now, you might run into people who are into scam. It's just because of poverty. A lot of people who are struggling, if you end up in that particular part of the country and they're struggling, then you got to watch out for people who might want to scam you. But at the end of the day, it's time for Black people to take advantage of Africa and all the resources, the abundant resources that Africa brings. So I just encourage everybody to start looking into that. I mean, certain countries, depending on the flights, it might cost you like $1,000 round trip. Certain countries might cost you a little bit more. So, and then of course the airlines too. So, with the African Union ambassador, I'm not gonna completely shut down her idea. That's not what I'm about. I think it's a great idea, but she just needs to put it into a real plan, like an established plan. And the idea of trying to have money first before you present to African presidents, I don't like. I think countries like Ghana should take advantage of Ghana, and most even Liberia has a history with Black America. I mean, for those of you who don't know, just go type Liberia history and you'll see Liberia has a direct link with Black Americans or African Americans. So a country like Liberia needs to establish something as simple as we're going to save this land, we're going to have developments on this land for people who want to relocate back to Africa. We're going to build houses, 2, 3 bedroom houses, 4 bedrooms, and we're going to do rent to own, or we're going to, do like a short mortgage term, and you could come in here and have a house. We'll also lease cars. You right if you do that right there, you eliminate a lot of headache, because the biggest headaches is for people to be able to find somewhere to live. So if you already have houses and people, all I have to, if you already have houses and cars, you have a car to rent, you have a house, like a package deal. All I have to do is come there and move straight into my house, which is, I mean, you could do furnish, like a fully furnished home, or just, a home that needs furniture. It doesn't matter. But if I have an option to where I'm leaving from here, coming directly into a fully furnished house, and I have a car I could rent, let's say all for $600 a month, something like that. I mean, if I'm spending $600 a month in Africa and I have a full house and a car to rent a month, I mean, I could literally go and start my work. I could do like a contract over there. I could start a business anywhere. I mean, it's just so many things I could do with that. So at the end of the day, I just think, instead of African leaders warm, and they could say, look, this is specific. This is specifically for black people around the world that want to relocate. But again, because if they don't do that, we know white folks will go take over that situation too. So if they want to encourage black folks, then they got to say, look, this section is specifically for black people who are all around the world in the diaspora, want them to come back home. And, we have houses, fully furnished houses, and cars to rent. It's only going to cost 6, 7, 800, or even less a month, and let them just come and find opportunities here, or they could find it before coming here, or whatever. So that's, to me, that's just a better route to take. But it's time for black people to love each other, show love to each other all around the world, stop killing each other, especially in places like Chicago and Baltimore. Man, we're tired with stuff like that. Stop killing each other around the world. It's time for, it's so strange that you could be a black person. I could literally leave from here and travel to Brazil, and I could see somebody who looks just like me. What makes you think this guy that looks just like me, we don't share the same DNA or similar family history DNA? It could go back hundreds of years, but the fact that he looks just like me, you know what I'm saying? We could have a close knit DNA. And that's the great thing about black people, because a black American could go to Africa and see somebody who looks extremely like him. I seen a video with a dude who looks just like Snoop Dogg, and I think he was in Kenya or some African country over there. So that's the beautiful part about being black. Like, you could literally travel any part of the world and see another black man that looks just like you. I mean, to me, that's one of the things people never really talk about, that, but that's amazing. So at the end of the day, we all one big family. Within a family, you have brothers, you have cousins, you have second, third cousins, distant cousins. It's like we just all we're one family, but we might be distant cousins and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, it's time for us to connect. It's time for us to explore each other's nations. It's time for us to do more trade. I mean, I got a record label here, but just imagine if I started seriously focusing not only on Liberia and the USA, but I say, you know what? I'm gonna make sure my music is in every part of the continent of Africa. I'm gonna make sure my music is in every part of the black land, not only Africa, but the Caribbean. I'm gonna make sure my music goes to the Bahamas, to Jamaica, to Turks and Caicos, all these countries in the island. I'm gonna make sure my music is spread throughout Africa. Every single African country needs to have my music, whether it's DJs or radio station, and then have it for sale too. I mean, just think about that. And when it comes to enterprises, I mean, that alone says it all. I mean, we spend so much time focusing only on what we could get done in America, but like black people, we have option. We have, especially when it comes to business, we have a huge option with Africa. I mean, just one country like Nigeria alone has a population of over 200 million people. Can you imagine the impact when it comes to business? That I mean, just think about the impact when it comes to business. America has like 300 some more million people, but Nigeria has 200 and plus 200 million plus people. Just Nigeria alone. This is not the rest of Africa, just one country. So at the end of the day, when it comes to business, we all could be wealthy if we started focusing on doing business in Africa. I mean, seriously, like any black business, black owned this, black owned that. I mean, we're struggling for customers here, and but we could be seriously wealthy doing it over there. So we all should start thinking about that because people are resources. I mean, we shouldn't just look at people only for that purpose, but your people are your resources as well, and the land is blessed with natural resources. So, without saying too much, I mean, been talking for like 20 minutes now. I think you guys get the point. Let's connect as black folks. You know, when it comes to fighting racism, we just gotta be more united. And united we stand. Seriously, that phrase is correct. United we stand, divided we fall. If we're divided, and they find every reason to divide us, because every time you hear somebody say, "Oh, he African, he this, he that, he do," that's division right there. If you're not even looking at it from that standpoint, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm black." I'm black first, you know what I mean? Then you're able to help your black brother before you start breaking it down to where are you from and this and that. So I just feel like it's time. It's time for us to connect. It's time for us to do business. Start traveling to establish businesses in those places. It might be hard to find a trustworthy person, but everybody can't be a crook. Some people will be crooks, some people will not be. So you're gonna have to take your time and figure all that stuff out. But the best thing to do is travel first. I'm encouraging black people around the world. This is not only for black Americans, because you got people from the Dominican Republic, they're black. You got people from South America, Cuba, they're black people. They need to travel there as well. People from Brazil travel to Africa, and we need to establish businesses all around the continent where our people are. That way, to make money is nothing. We're making money regardless. We're making money in every single part of the world, and that's how it should be. So, without saying too much tonight, we're gonna have topics and cover a lot of these things over the time period. But I'm kind of glad I was able to talk about that. Everybody, please go check out the African Union Ambassador speech. Just type African Union Ambassador, and her speech will come up about a plan for Black Americans to return to Africa. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel. Like, comment, share, and let's keep this going. I'm gonna try to do this as often as possible, um, and just try to inform people with the knowledge I have. Uh, Everybody, check out my latest album, Carnival. I'm gonna be doing a show this week. If you're in Charlotte, please come out to Tropics Lounge. Kind of kicking off the tour. I don't want to say that. Anyways, I'm doing some shows starting with Tropics, Charlotte Tropics Lounge on Saturday, October the 6th. I'm doing a show in Maryland, November the 3rd. I'll have the flyer information. So if you're in that area, come rock with me. I will be doing Kentucky November the 17th, and we got other dates coming up, but I'll let you guys know. I'll just keep this going at least once a week. It could be twice a week, but at least once a week. and we'll just keep it going. The album name is Carnival. Get your album. Go on Google, search for Mezonic, Mezonic. The album is Carnival, Carnival. If you on that strong hip hop or conscious hip hop tip, get my old album. It's 2 years old, but it's still good. It's called Inspire 2. Inspire 2. You could get the Inspire 1 album just to kind of have a feel of where I was going. But I did the Inspire 1 album 2008. So it's kind of old, but it's still good. But Inspire 2 is out there too. So go grab Inspire 2. And if you need t-shirts, you could get a t-shirt like the one I have on. It says get the album Carnival, you know, or you could get it with the album cover. Show your support. My website is mrpelfc.com. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Let's keep it going, man. We gotta do this. We gotta connect. Black people, it's time to connect all around the world, not just here in the US, like all around the world. That's why we have social media. So it's time to connect. It's time to love each other. And without saying much, peace.